This week on Not Just Another Sex Podcast. For me, when I think about like just moving forward in this life and like really what fuels me, it's integrity more than anything else. It's integrity that I want to be able to stand on how I feel and not have to hide behind closed doors around like who I am or what I believe in, or I think that I can be me without doing it in a shady way. Hey, sugar. I feel like there are so many different things that I need to learn as an adult. I'm this nasty on a regular day, like on a Tuesday. I am your host, Samaya Burton, and don't worry, it's not just another sex podcast. Welcome back to Not Just Another Sex Podcast. My name is Samaya, and I am your host, and thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. I know I say it all the time, but today's show about to be so fire. So fire. But before we get into it, I got to read this review. It says, "You are the GOAT." I received that. Courtney, this is Church Courtney. It says, "This podcast is life. I be looking like a crackhead come Wednesday morning if I haven't got a notification yet. But in all seriousness, Samaya, baby, you have poured into me since we were kids. You legit were the catalyst behind me deciding to celebrate my daughter instead of being sad on her birthdays and death anniversary." So today's podcast with Leela hit home in more ways than one. You are so dope to me. Keep living in your purpose, and I love you always, sugar. Courtney, if I cry before we even start this episode, I'm going to be a little upset with you. I don't know what to say with that. I should have probably read it before the show started. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Courtney is a friend. We were in the choir together. I know she was talking about crack. She don't smoke crack for real, y'all. But she, her and I were in the choir at church when we were growing up. And she was one of the girls. She had a baby first out of our group. Young and different things, but we became a community. And unfortunately, her daughter passed away when we were still in high school. And so imagine like giving birth at a young age and then also that same little one passing away. So that means more than you know, because I can never really understand what you felt, but understanding that whatever I'm doing now is doing something for you, I received that. Thank you so much for even just leaving that vulnerable review. You guys, the reviews matter. The ratings and the reviews matter. This show costs $0.00 for you guys to tune into, but it has cost me a lot. Your purpose can cost you a lot. So if you don't mind, please just, when you're done, just rate, review the podcast, share a clip, just tell somebody, drop it in the group chat. You know, we ain't all healing. We be acting up too. So, but thank you so much, you guys. I love you, Courtney. All right, no tears. CJ, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. I have a guest today, y'all. I have an Emmy award-winning producer, the founder of Faison Productions, the creator of The Black Beauty Effect on Netflix, and most importantly, a rattler. Yeah. A rattler. Here with me today, and I'm super excited for us to talk. So thank you so much for coming. Say hey to the folks.
What's up, folks? How y'all doing? I'm happy to be here with you today. I got to do one thing, though. Andrea Lewis is the creator.
Andrea Lewis, you're the producer.
I don't want to get in no trouble.
I don't want you to get in no trouble.
I don't want to get in no trouble.
You're already on the show, so you might be in a little trouble.
A smidge. But I don't want to get in no more trouble. So she's
My
the creator.
apologies, Andrea. No, congratulations to her and you for this being picked up. I know that was probably a long process, so we're going to get into all of that, all of the things before that.
For sure.
Yes. So thank you for taking time out to come and talk with me today. So you're going to go through the show with me. Yeah, all right. We start off the show with the adult tip of the day. The adult tip of the day. Tip is not even a play on words. I feel like you're just nervous. Like, what is she going to say?
Yo, I'm about to feel like Cameron and Mace right now. Yo, it is what it is.
Did you get permission to come on this show today? Tell the truth, Shane the Devil.
You know what? I did. But I don't think she knew exactly what was going on. She just let me rock. You
told like part of the story?
She just let me rock. She
trusts you. She trusts your judgment.
Exactly. She let me rock.
Look here. Alignment brought you here today.
Amen.
All right. So the adult tip of the day is just because one day we look up and we realize we the adults in the room. If somebody was to pass out, they'll look at you and be like, you know how to do CPR? Like, So, and so being adult is sometimes just like a life hack. Sometimes it's what my therapist says. Sometimes it's a saying, just something to make you think and, like a grown up for like 2 seconds. Okay.
Yeah.
So today's adult tip of the day is I have to risk being misunderstood to be more myself. And sometimes I find others who seem to understand me. Okay. You have any feedback on that? I'm reading one more time. I have to risk being misunderstood to be more myself. And sometimes I find others who seem to understand me.
That's a good one. That's a real good one, actually. When I think about that one, it makes me think about another quote that's kind of similar. And more of a realization moment, actually, for me, is realizing that, and sometimes doing what's best for us and what we deem is right is not going to be popular with a lot of other people, right?
Most times.
But it's exactly.
Yeah.
And so you'll find yourself like, damn, I don't want to upset people. I don't want to come off like I'm the problem. But ultimately, you're not the problem. It's just that people are much more malleable to accepting you and allowing you to do whatever as long as it's pleasing and serving them. And so when you're in a space where you're trying to do what's right and honor yourself and honor what's best for your business, people are going to be upset about it. And you got to be okay with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like that quote says, sometimes it's okay to be in the minority, right? And not have a large crowd around you because you're not trying to people please or you don't align with them.
Absolutely. I feel like for me, I was a huge people pleaser. And I had to realize that people do need to tell you no because it really might not be in alignment. It's more so how you say things, more so than what you're saying.
Tact.
Because at the end of the day, I don't want anybody to do anything for me if it's not going to be the best for you. Because if it's not the best option for you, you're not going to do it 100%.
That's right.
And a lot of times the thing that you're looking for or the answer that you're seeking or the help that you're looking for can't even find you because you want people to say yes to you because you have no other choice. It's like, I need this to work out. And so you're putting all your eggs in that basket when that's not even the basket for you.
That's right.
It's so crazy because the way that I met my videographer is, and I met him once like back in the day, but we reconnected here because I needed a videographer, but somebody else offered to do the job. But I knew they didn't want to. That's not where their heart was. Like they had some talent to be able to do it. And it was like, you know what? We broke. We need to get, some content out showing what we're doing. Yep. We should just accept it. And it was like, I didn't have another option. And I told her no. And I was like, you know what? I don't think that this is the best option for you. And I really only want people to do the roles that they really desire to do. And the next day, him and I ended up on the phone and he started like 2 days later.
God is always in the neighborhood when you're walking in your purpose.
Look here.
You might have saved the friendship. You might have saved the relationship.
And that's honestly what I told her. I said, because you fuck around and have fucked up some shit in my business, it would have been all bad. So I think that sometimes you just got to take time to figure out how to say what you need to say versus just agreeing with it because, whatever. Hey guys, I've been getting asked, are you going to do a Black Friday deal? Honestly, I have no idea, but I do think I have some news that just might suffice. If you guys haven't noticed, we have been updating all of our Sexual Essentials content, including our masterclasses. So for the last time, the 3 masterclasses that have sold over 10,000 copies is available now in one bundle. Yes, that's the Mouth Masterclass, the Dick Riding 101, and the Masturbation and Squirting class. All 3 of those are available in one course now for $100. If you didn't know, each of those classes is normally $100 a piece. So make sure that you take advantage of this because it's for a limited time only because these classes are being taken offline. All right, enjoy and back to the show. So we're going to move on to Twitter Talk. Twitter Talk is a segment just to pay homage to Black Twitter as a whole, to the culture, okay? Because it ain't even called Twitter no more, but that's what we call it.
That's right.
And Twitter ain't Twitter without Black Twitter.
Facts.
Whether that be because it gave you a fact, whether it be because some buffoonery that went down or just us making jokes out of all seriousness. Yes, everything. Black Twitter is that thing. So today's Twitter Talk is, and this is like just where we kind of discuss some things that are controversial or a little bit of tea. Today, I think it's more a little bit of controversy. If people wanted to, they would. I've grown to hate that statement.
Man, I hate it so much.
Really? Okay.
I literally hate it.
Why you hate it? I know.
It just removes the idea, thought that people have so many obligations that people themselves are struggling or underwater or are battling whatever life battles they have going on, and your heart can be intent on doing something, but you just may not physically be able to do it or in the time be able to do it. And I think that implies that, hey, if you don't do what I need you to do or what I'm asking you to do, then you don't want to do it. You don't care. And that can't be further from the truth when people have families, jobs, people trying to find a way to survive. And so, unfortunately, the thing that they want to do may not be over the thing that they need to do in order to be here and be alive. And so I just hate that saying, along with you'll make time for what you want to make. I hate them all.
Absolutely. Yeah. Recently I went through an experience that it tore my little heart up. But I think it's one of those things where you need to know. And basically someone was like, if you don't come to this event for me, I don't ask you for much. But if you don't come to this, then we can't be friends. And it was one of those things. And mind you, the day before, me and my son shared a meal. Now, I told you I be eating egg sandwiches. I ain't playing. I really do. But I do love egg sandwiches, so it's not like I'm hurting. But also I understand there's some sacrifice in the process. You know what I'm saying? I've had a beautiful life, and I've made a life that I feel comfortable in. But at the same time, there is sacrifice that comes along with opening a production company, changing careers, being in this economy right now. They're saying that if you're making less than $350,000 a year, that you need to be like chilling out. You need to be being a little frugal. $350,000 a year. And, you know, in the past years, I was in that range. This year, that's not the case, you know? And so if you know that I'm doing these things and I'm communicating with you, hey, this is what's going on, I'm not going to be able to make it. It was just one of those things that it's like, when I had it, I was always there, or that I've made myself available in other ways. Like I've given business advice. I've been there to counsel or add support because of my background and things like that. And to know that almost like an ultimatum in a friendship, that's not a friendship, you know? And it's not true. Like if we wanted to, you make time for it. If that's the case, I'd be at the spa. Like,
man, traveling the world every freaking day. That's what I want to do.
And this is a moment in time. In the bigger scheme of things, like you're talking about 10,000 hours to become an expert. You're talking about 10 years to really bring a vision to fruition. And I spent 6 in a different career. You know what I mean? So I'm starting over from the bottom, and it's not true. If somebody wanted to, they would. That's not true. Sometimes if they wanted to, they would communicate that, or they would, hey, my apologies, I can't make it to this, or, you know, they're doing what they can. And I think that if anything, you just have to say, you know, hey, I need more
grace.
And honestly, I feel like that situation just showed me how much I've grown, because it didn't make me mad. I think sometimes when we don't want to show vulnerability of our emotions, or like how something hurt us, we get mad because we want to bypass the fact that I was really sitting in the car crying. Like, that shit hurt my feelings. Like, wow. No, that's like, it's okay to acknowledge it hurts your feelings. It's also okay to acknowledge that we can't work like this. But also, I understand that that person's thoughts are a reflection of where they are at that time. And I remember being in a time where I thought like, I deserve this, or I expect this. And it's like, that takes the choice away. You don't know all the things.
That's right.
You know, and even if they have all the means or resources mentally, if they don't have the capacity, then they don't have the capacity. And you have to believe that. I think we are so, we're getting to a point where we're almost like numb to certain things that we don't even realize that people cannot have the capacity. But if they're not falling out on the ground or crying or snot nosed, then we don't believe them, you know? So it was one of those things. So yeah, Twitter talk today is, if people wanted to, they would trash that shit.
Yeah. Hate it. Throw it out the window.
But let's get into some of these topics today. I have to ask, when did you realize that this was the path? That this is what you wanted to do? And is this where you started?
No, so it's twofold, honestly. I always, we talked before the show about basketball being my first love.
Because you hella short, so you probably was like...
Exactly.
Yeah.
So basketball was my first love. I poured everything into basketball. And then I got to a point where it really was the invite-only camps. Going there and be like, yo, I'm not going broke. These niggas is nice, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But more than that, it was just how much the game demanded from me. I wasn't willing to give it.
That's real.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about playing D1, going pro, I've got so much respect for these guys because, you know, Kobe talked about it. Like, you got to give everything to the game. And LeBron is an exception because he manages to be so many things all at once while still being, you know, atop of his game and top of the game. For
and an
me,
amazing man.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Amazing man. He's an amazing father, husband, son, brother, friend. Like, the guy is all around. He's an anomaly because for so many people, you know, you got to give everything to this thing you love. And so for me, basketball was kind of like my first love and the first turning point where I wanted to become an executive in corporate America, finance. I started with Citigroup, pivoted from Citigroup to being in the biotech sector. And it was there that I realized I was so unfulfilled and God kind of dropped the vision on me in terms of entertainment. And at first, I thought I was supposed to be an actor. And I'll never forget, I was living in Indianapolis, taking on a merger, really an acquisition with Eli Lilly. And I had to be there for a year. And I just remember being like, yo, I hate it.
This ain't it.
I hate it. I hate being in this damn cubicle. I hate looking at Excel spreadsheets every day. And I just hated it. And so one night, I had a dream. And it was more than a dream. I call it a vision because I was actively living in it. Like, I felt my body. It's kind of like having an out-of-body experience, if you will. Woke up the next morning, couldn't remember it. Could not remember it for nothing, but I just knew I had been in a different experience. And then my line brother, Calvin Hayes, was at the time sending us daily scriptures. Exactly. Exactly. He was sending us scriptures and he'd give us a synopsis on it. And that morning, his scripture, I don't remember the exact scripture, but I'll never forget the synopsis was like, my brothers chase after all your dreams. The graveyard is like one of the richest places on earth because it's filled with all the dreams that died. Absolutely. And so I started this drive to the office and it all came rushing back to me in terms of entertainment was the space I was supposed to be in. And from that day, that was 2012.
How old were you then?
I was 24.
Okay.
No, I wasn't 24. I was 23.
Okay.
23 years old. I started pursuing the craft and I started with acting. I got into that and I realized I didn't really enjoy acting. I did a little bit of directing. And it wasn't until James Bland really said, hey, you need to come produce the second season of Giants is when I fell in love with being a producer. And that was around 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
When we started production in 2017, 2016 is when he asked me to come on and help produce the second season. And the rest has been history. And I knew I was in my purpose because it fulfilled all of me, not just a piece of me. I just loved it. I loved the business component of it. I love putting the pieces together. I love the strategy. I love thinking about concepts of shows and translating them into how can that be content that people want to watch, right? And that are going to come back, that can be repeat audiences for us. And how do I sell to this executive, the white executive in most cases, that's sitting across from me in a boardroom asking why he should spend money on this show?
Right.
It was the perfect fit, all of me, not a piece of me, all of me.
Yeah.
And I've been walking in this purpose ever since.
Did you feel qualified? I found that in this, so I wasn't as young as you when this came to me, but I can definitely relate to, it resonates when you say the vision, because I went on set almost a year to the day on Keke Palmer's set for Ho and Tell when she came out with her network. And
TV.
Yes. Yeah. And they brought me on as an intimacy coordinator. Because they had it's called Ho and Tell. So, which I gave her a lot of props for because it made sure that it was going to be a safe place for the actors and also like a realistic portrayal of like the scene they're trying to have and things like that. Yeah. But when I got behind that camera, it did something different than what being talent did for me. Right. And I was also getting to a point where, God took this moment to check me. And I mean, he slapped the dog.
You snatch your edges.
My gosh. Luckily, we put him on before this episode, so we're good. But he snatched my edges because it was a lot of, I built sexual essentials and, I deserve to be in these rooms and things like that. And it's like, baby, what was me? What was me? What does that even mean? Yeah. At the end of the day, there's a lot of talent. There's a lot, you got to be more than talent. And so I realized I had to become like an asset. I had to become what talent needed. I needed to become what the talent people need, what they need. Who, you know what I mean? So like,
100%.
yeah. And so it was like, okay, I need to do more, even though it felt like I was doing a lot. But it's also learning to respect wherever you are, because you have no idea the way that it's supposed to fit into your story. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're so busy worried about, oh, I'm doing this. You better pick up what they're putting down for free, because you're going to need this in what I have coming for you. You know what I'm saying?
You just always have to be postured in a way that where your gift is allowing you to be of service.
Absolutely.
And sometimes when we get into that mindset of I deserve, we fall out of our purpose and our alignment of being servants. You know, we're all put here to be of service to someone. And in our role as producers, we're serving talent, we're serving the network, and we're serving our audiences. But what we can never do is feel like we're bigger. We're bigger than our purpose. We're bigger than that. And folks need to serve us. That'll happen in the natural flow of things. But our mindset, and my mindset, is always focused on how can I be of service to the people around me and my community. Yeah.
Absolutely. For me, I feel like I was chasing a lot of comfort. I was trying to find safety, just because my background was different with my parents, and coming from, you know, even the way that even when I pieced together the stories now, like going to FAMU wasn't because I was like the best scholar. Like, I was smart, don't get me wrong, but I never did no homework, like, or anything. It's just the natural intelligence that you had got me there. But I was working a lot. And so I went to school, but I went to school because I was like, I wanted to go far enough that my parents couldn't get to me, and it like couldn't pop up on me. I wanted to go as far as I could. They couldn't get to me in a day. They would have to plan to get to me. So I went to Florida. And then even there, when I got out of school, I didn't have a job opportunity. Now, mind you, I'm at FAMU, you know, and you know, they get you prepared, but I didn't have a job opportunity. I went into real estate. And then even then, I didn't like how they were doing that. And I was like, well, I'll get my own real estate one day, so let me pay attention here, right? And then after that, I got into sexual essentials, which really, it was a risk, because I was really doing something that was for me, you know, and it gave me entryway into my healing journey and also into my purpose. Because if I hadn't done sexual essentials, then I would not have ended up on Keke Palmer's set. You know what I'm saying? And then that's when I was like, okay, I got to find a way to get behind that camera again. Like, how am I going to do that? And it's like, so I didn't feel qualified, because it's like real estate background, you know,
intimacy codes.
Right. I'm like, dick sucking background. What can I, what, how am I going to pull this into, how am I going to pull this into set? Like, people, like you said, you figured that out at 23. At this time, I'm 30? You know, it's a little late. And I've put all my money, all my resources into that. Only for that real estate, seeing this and seeking that out, you know, that was a background that mattered now. I say all that to say, what are some breadcrumbs that have shown you that you're in the right place? Because sometimes when we're in the process of going after a goal, a vision, a thing, it's going to take a long time for it to come to fruition. But there are breadcrumbs that tell you that you're in the right space, right? When I met you, that was a breadcrumb that day. I told you that. I said, okay, this was a breadcrumb. I said, because today was a hell of a day. You know? And then you came in, you were a rattler, doing the same things. Love the, you know, the content house. We had to put this set together for you.
Phenomenal content house.
But that was a breadcrumb. Can you tell us about a couple of breadcrumbs that told you, like, you know what, this is alignment, I'm supposed to do this, that popped up that you...
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the first day when I aligned, the first day I was living in Indianapolis, like I said, taking on this acquisition. And I started calling around trying to find acting classes. Couldn't find acting classes, but I called the Madam C.J. Walker Theater, and they were planning for, they were holding auditions for Langston Hughes' Black Nativity. It was the anniversary from when they had premiered on Broadway. If anybody knows about it, it's one of the first Black plays to ever premiere on Broadway. And so they were holding auditions, and I asked if I could just come watch. Okay. Because I just wanted to be around it. And she was like, do you have a monologue? And I was like, no, I don't have a monologue. So I'll just come watch. So she let me come watch. And then at the end, they looked back at me and said, hey, do you want to audition? And I said, I just told this damn lady I don't have a monologue. And she goes, no, we can do an improv. Okay. I said, okay, cool. So I did it, had fun. Mind you, I did do some acting as a child on Sesame Street, but nonsense. And that was like group acting. It was not like a solo shot of me, right? Did that, had fun, left, got a call back. hey, we want you to play the lead. Like, what the? So I didn't question it. I just knew that I was walking in alignment. And when you're walking in alignment, it won't always be this way because you're going to have your winds and your rains and your storms that come. But to have that first step, so that was almost like a nod from God. Like, yeah, it was me that was talking to you. So that on to any of the shows that I've done have went on to be way more impactful than probably the initial vision of the creative at the time, and surpassed and lived up to, in some cases, lived up to what I had envisioned for the show. So we talk about, I know we're going to talk about it on here, but we talk about Black Beauty Effect.
Yeah.
From the moment Andrea pitched me that, I was like, this is it. This is gold. And I always knew we would be on Netflix. I always knew we'd get to the highest platform. And God honoring that, right? That was placed in my spirit to see it come to fruition is, again, a nod. You know what I mean? It's a breadcrumb in the bigger picture of my career that, hey, I'm still on the right path. And when I'll be on this path until he tells me I shouldn't be.
I feel that.
This life is seasonal. Yeah. You know what I mean? It could be in this season I'm producing, and it may move to shit in my 40s and 50s where I'm in a different season where God's asking me to be an angel investor or manage my real estate portfolio more closely. Who knows? But I feel alignment, or I've had those breadcrumbs along the way from the onset of chasing this vision, this dream that I'm walking in my purpose.
It's so crazy because I think that God was sending me breadcrumbs before, but I didn't see it because I was so stuck on making sure my child was okay and didn't go through any of the things I went through. So I was moving from a place of scarcity, regardless of how much, and don't get me wrong, when I went into Sexual Essentials, I was changing lives. Like so many women had never had an orgasm before they met me. So many men had never been able to actually verbalize to their partner, I love you, but baby, this is not enough. Like this, like, thanks for the pussy, but could it be better? It was a lot. Yeah. Like I was changing lives because it's like I do believe in Black love, but y'all cannot silence these people from their pleasure. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not the Black love that's really the problem. It's the fact that you can't tell the truth. So I knew that what I was doing with Sexual Essentials was important, but at a certain time I had did what I needed to do and it was time for me to move on and I didn't want to let go. So I found that I don't believe that I wanted to let go because I didn't think it was really possible for me to get bigger than what I had got to. Now, mind you, I had 6 figures in the savings, 6 figures in checkings, and it's like, oh, I'm okay. Okay isn't really enough. Now, don't get me wrong. I was healthy. I had gotten healthy. I had went to all the therapies. All the therapies, curing daddy issues left and right, curing mama issues, and all those things. But, once you heal to a certain level, it's time to go to another level.
That's right.
But all I knew was that my child was okay and I was in a sex field. So I'm already in dangerous landmine territory. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, if I move into something else, what's going to make me qualified? And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a risk on myself. And I think that I was looking for a miracle. I was looking for a miracle. I was like, I don't know if I believe that it's all possible. And so I was like, I'm going to do this. And I thought that a miracle was going to come to me and somebody was going to see this house.
Man, we all want that home run.
It's going to cut me a check. Yeah. And that's what was going to happen. But the truth is, God was like, you know what? I can show you it's possible. 1 second. Hold my breath. Hold my breath. And what he did was he took everything. He took everything and he transitioned me right up out of everything. But the reason that I think he had to do that was because when they say anything is possible, anything is possible. Absolutely. Which means that if you can't truly believe that the highest of the high or these rooms are made for you, that you belong here, you don't believe it because you also don't believe that you could live on this street. Really? You don't believe it. And the reason that I didn't believe that being homeless would even be possible was because I knew that I would never do anything slightly risky to risk not having the security. And so it's taken, maybe 10, 11 months now for me to realize what was being shown to me. I didn't believe it was really true. I never planned on moving more than 1 or 2 steps out of this financial freedom that I had created for myself. And if you're not willing to move out of the safety, then you're not really willing to follow your purpose, because sometimes your purpose is going to take you to places that don't feel safe.
Deep waters to show that you can swim. Yeah, that's right.
And so every single thing that's happened, I'm like, I see why I needed to do it, because now I walk into rooms or I walk into conversations and I'm not walking in looking for a miracle at all. I'm just explaining why is probably a great option for you, or this is what's best for you. I'm looking to solve problems. I'm looking to be with the right people versus looking for a miracle.
Yep.
You know, when did you realize that you weren't looking for a miracle, and what do you think are some things that contribute to that? I want to hear more about your mom. I'm just going because I need to make sure it go where it need to go. You know, I'd be long winded, so you gotta make sure we tie it all together. I want to know because the level of confidence that it takes to pull together projects, and pull together projects for Black women, and be trusted with that is pretty big, especially when a lot of men are not necessarily equipped with all the skills to lead in that way. So, what are some things that contributed to you knowing that you're supposed to be there and making sure that you're uniquely qualified for this role?
You know, you want to talk about my mom? I grew up, you know, with my mom kind of being the leader in the house, if you will, and for a period, just a single mom. When I was in high school, my mom got divorced from my stepfather at the time, and it was just her and I. My sisters had left the house, just my mom and I, and my mom would literally go to work. She'd go to work before the sun came up. I'd wake up, my mom was gone. I'd come home, my mom, it was late at night. I was working as well. I'd come home, my mom be asleep. So we weren't seeing each other, but she always made all my games. And so at that point, I realized that you can be a hard worker, commitment, dedication. You just have to prioritize certain things. You can't do everything because my mom could not do everything, but she made it a point. And so for me, I understood the importance of, in that fact that women were qualified to lead. And so when we talk about where I am now, in this particular project, you know, yes, I am the quote unquote leader, the executive producer, but I'm also following, you know, the team of women that were placed around me and listening, because these are spaces that I'm not a frequent visitor in, right? I don't do makeup. I don't do hair. I had somewhat of a skincare routine, but, you know, not the same. And so I was by no means the subject matter expert when it came to the actual content. What I was the subject matter expert on is packaging the project and making it a thing. And I think that came from sports. I mean, you get that early on, not only knowing how to follow from my mom, but just playing sports. You understand how to be disciplined. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then business school, shout out to FAMU, teaching us, you know, the SBI program really teaches you how to sell. How, if they don't teach you nothing else, you know how to sell yourself and you know how to connect with other people. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I got that.
Yourself out for the craft.
Listen, man. I got that from FAMU, from Alpha. Everything made me confident. I've never been a person that lacked confidence in pretty much anything I've ever done. I'm aware when I'm not, you know, I'm up to the standard I need to be at, but I'm never lacking confidence in doing something. And so for me, it was just another challenge. And I knew the audience I was going to serve. And so all of the no's we got, it never deterred me. And Andrea and I talk about it to this day. Like, we were pitching and getting no's and no's and no's. And I was like, cool, it's going to hit. It's going to sell. What do we need? Let's go back to the drawing board. How can we make this undeniable so that we don't get the question from the white exec that says, why is Black women's hair so important? It's like, yo, are you kidding me? Yeah. And so for me, man, it was just about doing what I've always done. Yeah. And just honoring that gift, that purpose that's been placed over my life, and just moving forward. But I got all that at an early age from observing my mama. My mom, I adore my mama. And she's such a hard worker. She's so strong-willed, so purpose-filled. And she's a pioneer in her own right. You know, it's tough to raise kids.
Especially she was raising a young man.
Exactly. And then for so many years, it's just her and I, you know, and her raising me into manhood. And so I've never been one of those guys that had a problem with following women or feeling like, you know, oh, women need to follow it. Yeah,
I hear you, but
I don't operate in that way all the time. You know what I mean? That's never been my posture.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I also want to know about networking across, and not know about it. I think that we should talk about it because we've talked about a couple of things about feeling like woe is me, right? God, and then also feeling like looking for a miracle. And what I've found and what I tell people all the time, and don't get me wrong, like some of the things that I talk about, I went through a long time ago. It's been a long time since it's been woe is me. Like even when I feel it, I recognize it and I can correct it. So I don't fault myself for the mistake. I'm just always aware of how to shift my mind.
That's right.
And so networking across is a huge part of that. And I say that because a lot of times the person that's not responding to you, they're not responding to you because they don't think that you're good enough or whatever. But realistically, you guys are not aligned yet. There is nothing that you can do for them. Everything that you're looking for is for them to do for you. Mm-hmm. And they can say no respectfully, or think about the fact that they have to outline their day. They might not respond. You know what I mean? So you can't take that personally. Them not responding is not personal. The only thing that you can hold them to is being respectful if and when they decide to respond to you.
That's right.
That's it. But a lot of times we're looking for someone to make us a star by that star touching our hand. And that's not the case. Mm-hmm. If you really want to build and be seen, networking across is going to do everything. So for this house, the videographer, the interior designer, all people I went to school with. All people that were at the same level as me. You know what I mean?
Fam,
so, man, look her, fam. God damn you. All right, all
greatness,
right.
Man.
So I want to talk about the importance of networking across, whether that was maybe a story about someone pulling you in, somebody that knew you, or either, you working with somebody and saying like, oh, let's do this, or even just developing your skill, your craft, or putting projects together, anything that you want to contribute to that.
Nah, that's important, man. When I first started on this journey, I was going out to LA a lot. And James Bland pulled me into this group called We Are the Web, I think, at the time. And it had Issa, Reagan Gomez, Tina Lifford was there, James, and several other content creators at the time that had web series or shows out on the web. And it was all about just leveraging each other, right? And so that showed me then and there. And Issa, to this day, she talks about it. But even our first show, we have so much to thank her for because she allowed Giants, she gave Giants a platform, right? Mm-hmm. She talked about us in those rooms we weren't ready to be in yet because at the time we were connecting with her when Awkward Black Girl was still taking off and being a thing. And so she always showed love and just is such even to this day, she continues to pull people up. But it's always about finding people that are doing what you're doing and that are aligned with what you're doing because there's a lot of people making content, right? We talked about this the last time. Yeah. A lot of people making podcasts, a lot of people making content, but they're not necessarily people that you see yourself aligned with or where you want to go. And so for me, it's always been about identifying people that are talented, that are aligned with my purpose. And they don't have to be, the A-lister star because I see the potential in people. Right. I see where they're going. And I've been very, very blessed. When you talk about Giants, everyone we work with on that show is taking off to a different level. I did a short film with a director, Winter Dunn, and she is so talented. Everyone in that show is taking off. Danielle Monet Truitt is a series regular now on CSI, Law and Order. Okay. Terrence Terrell is in so many projects. It makes your head spin on Netflix and every other major platform. Yeah. Kayla played a child actress in the short that we did. She's on freaking Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory that's coming out, right? Everyone is taking off. Winter herself is doing a lot of stuff. I can't talk about it all, but a lot of stuff with major networks. Yeah. And so it's just always been about starting with people that you see yourself aligned with and knowing that they're taking it just as serious as you and they have integrity that they're bringing to the table like you and you're going to go further that way. Absolutely. Because as their star ascends, we have a saying, a rising tide lifts all ships. And so when you are aligned with those people in business with those people, as their star rises, as your star rises, you guys are able to kind of pull each other. And when you think about someone who's ahead and whose star is already kind of further than you, you got to think about how many people are asking them. You know what I mean?
The numbers. It's a numbers game. And it's not saying that you can't be aligned with them, but does that really make the most sense?
Exactly.
And don't get me wrong. I didn't been in some DMs before. Don't get it. But also I look for certain things if it's a little off. But Plies asked during COVID, he was like, I think I need to learn more about pussy eating. Or I teach a class on it. It was a line. So I made a post and I was like, hey, if you want me to send it to you, I can. So like sometimes just looking to see if are the thing they asking for, can you even do?
Yo,
You know what I'm
Plies
saying?
is
Are
a
they?
classic.
Oh,
Go.
he's
I love
wild.
Plies.
You know what?
He's so funny.
He seemed like such a hood romantic to me.
Yo, Plies is actually very, very smart.
Yes, I know. I absolutely.
Extremely smart.
I love how it's so crazy because he'll be on. He was on Angela Yee's lip service, and he had all roses delivered to all the ladies, and I was like, it be them hood niggas though that be lover boys. Absolutely, secretly.
Absolutely.
But networking across is very important. Just you guys, networking across means finding someone else that has an equal amount to give and take, just like you, and working with them. Yes. And you're starting something yourself or doing something yourself. And I promise you it works. Instead of thinking about how much you want to make, I've always been this way. I said that people that work with me, I want to be the reason that everybody on my team is making 6 figures. I have no reason to worry about how much I make if everybody that works with me makes 6 figures. And I've always been that way. And so for me, I think it was very important to be clear about the networking across from one career to another, because there were a lot of people that I was trying to bring with me from like my Sexual Essentials career and that background to this one. And it's different because I had it at that time when I was putting people on, or like, hey, let me interview you. Let me position your product like this, da. And now, you know, I'm going through a transitional phase. I have absolutely no doubt that everything is going to come back, you know, tenfold, because this is my purpose. And I already talked to God about it. I said, boundaries. If I'm gonna do this work, I gotta be able to take care of myself. I ain't asking for much. If I be on set all day, I should be able to get my feet rubbed. Boundaries. Yeah. God, you taught me boundaries. Now I'm using them on you. So I have no doubt that everything is gonna come into fruition the way it's supposed to. But I had to realize that the people in that networking cross had to change as well. And I think that just getting more comfortable with endings. You know, I think it's more so how things end that hurts more than anything than the ending itself. Because at the end of the day, an ending means there's another beginning. It's just it's run its course. So we talked about
seasons.
Yes, seasons as fuck. Now look here, we done brought you on this show, so we got to get into it before we let you go.
Yeah. Let's get to it.
To the sex tip of the day.
Well, I didn't know we were going there.
You look like you resisted, but you consented to being on the show. The sex tip of the day is to pay homage to the first business, the first love, Sexual Essentials, which is the inspiration to SE Media Group, SE Content House, SE everything, because it stands for something extraordinary. There was not a bank that would give me $1. There was not a investor that would give me a penny, because the name was Sexual Essentials. And so when it was time to grow this business and grow it into something different, I had to keep the SE, and it was always, that business was and is something extraordinary. So this segment pays homage to that, because all of those courses, all those teachings are still available. You can download Patreon app, and there are almost 300 videos, classes, discussions, hands-on demonstrations, all types of things on there, okay? And it supports the creatives that make this show possible. Like I said, the show costs $0 to you to take in and to, entertain and learn and heal, but it does cost us something. So by supporting the Patreon, not only are you getting access to some amazing content and classes and whatnot and bonus episodes and so much more, but you're also helping make this possible and, make all of this look the way that it does. So we appreciate you.
It looks good.
I want to talk about 2 things. I want to talk about, one, do you feel that you are more of a dom or a sub, if you could pick?
What the hell does that mean?
All right, let's get into it. I'm so glad you asked the question.
So wild.
There's a thing called a dominant and a submissive, like in sex. So like it's an actual career. Like, have you ever seen, like, for the extreme, think of like the 50 Shades of Grey. I hate to use that example because it wasn't all the way realistic, and it was like a whole bunch of
looked very abusive, but carry on.
It's a thin line between pain and pleasure.
Yeah.
Right. So in this career, you do a little bit of both. You talked about it. Yes, you're the leader, but you're the listener. Leader is very synonymous with listener, right? You really are submitting to all the creatives that are on your team, which makes you a very submissive person, but also you're a dominant person because you're the person that puts everything together and makes sure that it runs the way that it needs to.
That's right.
So in the bedroom, do you feel like you are more of a dominant or a submissive?
Dominant for sure.
Ironically, there are a lot of power men that are actually more submissive in the bedroom. But just like women, when you go out into the world, you run in everything, you're responsible for everything. And sometimes you want the ability to just be able to let go and trust that you can let go. And we find that a lot of men, especially Black men, do not trust nobody to let go. Don't tie me up. Don't touch my hands. Damn sure don't put no cuffs on me. No, I don't want no cuffs on me. That ain't hot.
None of that with me. None of that with me. I'm cool. Don't blindfold me.
Let me blindfold you, though. Let me do it to you.
Don't blindfold me.
You first.
Yeah, I don't know what you got going.
But I do want to know, what ways do you think that you possibly dom yourself? Because the most dominant people actually dom themselves. Because as a dominant person, you usually, when you're the one that's in control, it's rare for you to find somebody else that you'll let be in control of you. So a lot of people end up having to dom themselves. I'll go first to give you an example.
Yeah, give me an example.
He like, put me on the right track. Where are we going?
Give me an example.
So, drink your water.
Yeah,
drink your water. All right.
Drink water and listen.
So, for example, one of the ways that I would dom myself with this work is like, you know that shooting days are amazing, right? But there's a lot of pre-production. And then there's post-production. Those are the parts will be like, okay, hold on, let's get into it. We cannot forget those parts, even though on set days are amazing because everybody's in person. There's amazing energy. We look forward to those days, right? Absolutely. All the congregating. But what about when you got outlines to do and you got paperwork to submit and things like that? How do you encourage yourself to keep that same energy? Because at the end of the day, I don't like doing anything I don't want to do. I'm doing all of this because I desire to do it. And desire is that longingness, that things that fulfills you. So sometimes I use punishment and reward with myself, which means that like, okay, I'm going to do this for 2 hours. And then after I do that, I'm masturbate and catch 5 nuts. And then my endorphins are going to be so high. And then I'm going to finish the work for another hour. And then if I don't, then it's like, you know what? I'm not going to catch a nut for 7 days, or I'm not going to let myself masturbate for 7 days. And that energy is refurbished into the work, into the craft. And so I'm creating at a very high level of sensuality, and it shows up in my work. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, if you touch me, I just
Already.
Let's do this work. Why? Because I know that when it's done, I'm up there fat, rewarding myself for the work that's being done. So what are some ways that you, and it don't mean that you at home fapping. I don't want your wife being like, you was in there fapping without me.
No.
But, you know, hey, we could talk about mutual masturbation too, but that's a different episode. But what are some ways that you think that maybe you practice discipline to yourself? And it doesn't have to be sexual, but it is the same thing. There are ways that when you are responsible for you, you learn the tools and tricks to discipline yourself to keep you on track. Because when you're the leader, there is nobody else to do it for you. You have to keep everybody else together, which means that you're responsible for taking care of you. So what are some ways that maybe you dom yourself in discipline since you won't let someone else do it for you?
That is a great question. I have to think about like.
But I ain't seen you look stumped the whole episode.
Yeah, I can really think about like sexually. I don't even know if I don't have a prep. I don't reward myself or punish myself in that way at all.
Or denial may be another way to do that instead of punishment.
I lean into it. I don't care if I finish that list or not. But I write everything down, right?
Okay.
And this is more recent because my ass would be just running. I run 2 businesses outside of my production company. And so there's a lot. I'm always juggling a lot. And so for me now, I have to write it down and hold myself to it. And now what I will do is deprive myself of social activity.
Okay.
You know, I love watching football.
There you go.
So that's my time with my frat brothers, my friends, where we kick it. Well, that list ain't done of what I need to do. It's just not going to happen.
Social discipline.
And, so, and that's just one example. But like going out, kicking it, you know, even last night I was supposed to go out and have a meeting. It was a meeting. But it was in a social setting. Yeah. And I was like, nah, I can't do it. I got to stay out. So that's a way that I kind of like dom myself, I guess, is like I'm a social person. I love being around people. I love that social interaction. And so whenever I'm not meeting my goals in terms of the work that I have to do, I got to stay inside.
I feel that.
And yeah.
So a suggestion that I'm going to give is also incorporating your wife, because you can do that. Because at the end of the day, I know that you guys probably have developed a system of, sometimes I have to be gone for long periods of time. And
Always gone.
yeah, like, we work off projects, so gone for a period of time. But sometimes it's like, you know what, babe, I'm about to knock out these pitches or whatever for 2 hours. And then when I come back, you get 25 minutes or whatever you want. Or whatever it is. So sometimes it's like dom and sub between each other. You know what I mean? Like, or things like that. It doesn't have to necessarily be yourself. And so those are other ways to do that. And then also the last question, because I'm greedy and I wasn't sure when you was coming back. I know you coming back on the show, but
I'll be back.
I know it, but it's all right. I want to ask,
Good.
do you have has being working with cameras made you feel differently or made you have a desire to explore adding cameras to your bedroom?
Never.
Really? That's crazy, because I ain't gonna lie to you, ever since getting into this, I was like, oh, next relationship, we're shooting everything. Now, it's not for distribution.
Yeah.
But I need to see what that ass looking like under these lights. No?
It's never been a thing. It's funny, man. That's never been a fantasy of mine. Or a thing that I'm into, like never.
Man, I ain't gonna lie to you. I've literally been like, you know what? Next relationship, we filming everything. I want to see the sets. Like, baby, here's the script. Did you get the script for the day? Yeah. I feel like it gives placement, because I do have a lot of different personalities. I do have a lot of different characters like in me, and I like to let them live. And so it's like, I don't need to distribute it, but baby, we about to make this, and I need to see it.
And y'all gonna watch it together?
I would love to. Together? Absolutely.
I ain't mad at it.
Absolutely.
I ain't mad at it.
Oh, yeah. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I done got all healed and holy and shit. I'm so
but you ready to bust it. Oh, my. As soon as you...
I done tried all the things in my unhealed phase. I done tried it all. I'm ready to try that same list with somebody I love.
I love that for you.
I love it for them, too. When that time come, I ain't asking for much. Just come healed and holy so we can be nasty. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Come here and holy so we can be demons in the bedroom.
Look here, there's so many things that I desire, and I'm just like, I don't see why anybody can't have them. And I tell people, and I think a lot of people have thought this since I've gotten into like my healed journey, that like I'm a prude, and I'm like, no, I just don't want everybody to have a slice of this pussy because they don't deserve it. And I also want to be able to do all the things. Like a lot of the things that people experiment and try, they don't really grow and do it with they do it with multiple people over a period of time, where they try a whole bunch of people and stuff like that. Sex don't even get good to about that third or fourth time. Like it might be good, but it's like, okay, hold on, we ain't in our groove yet.
Yeah, y'all learn each other.
Yeah. Look here, I'm so excited to get in a goddamn groove. You know how long it's been since I done had groove?
How long it's been? Tell us.
That is not nothing nobody get out of me without dinner.
I tried, y'all.
Nobody's business.
Put it out there. I didn't want to leave
with myself. I be grooving with myself, but
you're a partner.
Look here, if you out there, I promise I'm gonna leave the house. I'm gonna leave the house, and I'm ready to date you guys. Kinda.
Y'all hear that?
Ish.
Maya is ready to date. We're gonna remove the ish. She is ready to date. She's looking for the healed, holy, that's ready to be on demon time behind closed doors with her. Okay?
Yes.
Did I nail that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll keep my eye out for those.
Look here, somebody
demons.
match me up. Y'all be having I don't know, because sometimes y'all friends be a mess. Sometimes y'all be the best one out y'all friend group.
Nah, man, I'm
or either, married men only hang out with married men. No, we need the ones. Where are y'all single friends at? Y'all
I got single friends. Oh shit, I got more single friends now than I
and they need to be fine. And you know what? Let's not get into the list. We got one more segment before we let you go.
Cool, let's do it.
All right. So the spiritual tip of the day, because after be nasty, you got to add a little spirituality.
No, we're back on Holy Land. No, we're back in Holy Land.
The spiritual tip of the day is because I think it's very important to understand spirituality as a whole. Yeah. And a lot of people are intimidated by the conversations around spirituality because it encompasses religion, but not just religion. So a lot of people are like, really weird about like ancestors and things like that. Yeah, your grandma that's tattooed on your arm, baby, that's your ancestor. So it's not demonic that you're talking to her, that you want her to look out for you. And I think a lot of time that resistance is just because it's just a level of ignorance. We don't really understand. 100%. And, our verbiage changes when we get to a level of understanding. And so we don't really go back and like make it inclusive to say, this is what this means when someone says that or whatever. We just all of a sudden it's like my higher self, and people are like, fuck that mean? Like, yeah. I'm not really a grand rising girl, but most of the other stuff, I get it. Your words start changing when you feel away, and if you get it, you get it. So this is a segment for y'all to start getting it too. And that's sometimes with astrology, sometimes it's with crystals, sometimes it's with prayer, sometimes it's just with a saying or something like that. And I'm conflicted. I have two things written down here because I wasn't sure which one.
Follow your gut.
I know it, right? I saw a saying on the socials, and it said, if our kids become adults and they still want to be around you, then you're successful. And so for me, when I think about like just moving forward in this life and like really what fuels me, it's integrity more than anything else. It's integrity that I want to be able to stand on how I feel and not have to hide behind closed doors around like who I am or what I believe in. Or I think that I can be me without doing it in a shady way. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, would your kid want to hang around you if they knew all the things, if they could see all the things that you do? And people used to ask me all the time, you know, how do you feel? Like, how do you think your son's going to feel about you having sexual essentials and doing this and that? I think that when my son become an adult, he going to want his dick sucked. And I'm sure he's going to want his wife to take a class if she's not good at it or whatever. I think he's not going to want people to make him feel bad about his sexuality. I think that he's going to want to be with a woman that can express her sexuality. Do I really want to think about that? No. But it's a reality. But it's a reality, you know? And so standing on like that type of integrity, I think is important. And the other thing that I wanted to say was that this career has really allowed God another space in my life. And I say that because I've always believed, and I get asked this all the time, because my dad was a deacon or is a deacon. I don't know what he got going on these days, but because he was, they asked like, you know, do you still love God? I'm like, absolutely. Like, man can't change that.
That's right.
But it has been a journey of forgiving God. And oh, it's a tingle in my eye. It's itching.
I see it.
Don't look. It'll go
Breathe,
away.
take a deep breath. There you go. Let's go.
It has been a journey to forgive God, because it's not just one thing. It's not just the way that I've been raised. It's the fact that you've put me, or I've put me, or whatever. Why'd you make me this way, that I've gone into circumstances that caused me to get hurt? Why have I been put in these situations that caused me to get hurt? Why have I been put in these situations where my consent has been violated? Why have I been put in these situations where the people that are supposed to take care of me or teach me are the ones that are hurting me? A stranger is one thing, but the people that, you know, that were sent to take care of you or raise you, I don't understand. But getting to a point where this has let God back in my life in a way that I'm comfortable with. You know what I mean? And so I've always believed, but giving him some more attention, you know, and slowly but surely, I can acknowledge that it's done that. And I think that is in alignment with my purpose. Not saying that I'm become a preacher. I don't know if they got dick sucking preachers, y'all. Like, they be teaching classes. I don't know about that. I ain't trying to do none of that. But I will say that it's so crazy how when you find your purpose, everything kind of just starts balancing out, as in the why, or like what you're okay with and the things that you're okay to settle. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like really
absolutely.
settle into. And I've always just believed that spirituality as a whole, I need all of it. It's, you know, at a time, religion couldn't do much for me because it couldn't give me the answers, you know?
It's rehearsed.
And you know, people think that you don't love God if you have questions. And it's like, I'm not questioning. I want to understand. I'm a logical person. I need to understand how this works. It's the same way that I do with my team. I need to understand what your job is so I can support you in doing it.
That's right.
You know? And so it's those are my spiritual tips of the day. It's so ironic that I literally walk the line between both, because just all the things. And it's just so crazy the way that my purpose and just really sitting in here makes space for me in all the ways that I am.
This is healing for you.
It's very healing for me. When you say that, like, you showed up on set and it did everything for you, it did everything for you. See my makeup artist, she over there like, girl, look at your face. The real content made by real people. Come on, give it up for Couture. Come on, sugar. Come. Yes, this is my makeup artist, you guys.
Couture, like,
looking like this.
Let me fix this.
Look at it.
We're going to pause for the cause.
Oh, make sure y'all get her makeup class, y'all. She
Get
didn't.
you
She
right.
didn't record. She was my first masterclass with the equipment. So we've been shooting podcast shows and different stuff like that. But
Yeah.
now content creators can come in here if they want to create a course. You know, I used to create courses for my phone and old cameras, and you can't be your whole team. So we
No,
do
you
that.
cannot. You need a team.
We do that for the experts that are ready to transition out of just being talent, but also want to teach. Thank you, Sugar. So yes, that is Coaches Couture. So check her out. Real content made by real people. Y'all know I ain't editing that out. You know I ain't.
No,
So,
you shouldn't.
but that was our spiritual tip of the day, both of those. And so I'm realizing it. That it's been doing that for me, and also just realizing that, you know, if your kid wants to hang around you when they become an adult, that is success.
That is success.
Success.
I aspire.
What has your purpose done for you in fatherhood and being a husband? How has that contributed to your role?
It's been so great. It's been challenging, rewarding, great. All of the things, you know. I bring my son with me on my carpets. I try to bring him with me to work as much because we can't be what we don't see.
Yeah.
And I wish I had more examples as a child growing up to see what was possible. And I want my son to see that. I want him to have access to whatever, you know what I mean? And even if he doesn't choose to go into film or do anything, it's just seeing that, hey, dad's doing it at the highest level. I can do whatever I want as well. And in terms of being a husband, it's been great. It's given me the space to, one, support my wife and her desires, and also open me up. Like, now my wife has pivoted from corporate tech to being a full-time content creator.
She got aesthetic. I checked out her page.
Thank you so much. Yes, Home with Mrs. Homebody. Fire. But I'm able to support her and not try and dim her light, right? Or kind of shit on her dreams and say, hey, that's not really a real job. Why don't you get her? Because she supported me for so long in my desire. And now that I'm here and I'm having a good amount of success, it just
doing all right.
I'm doing all right.
You're doing all right.
I'm doing all right.
Something.
I'm doing all right. It just allows me to be more present in her. And like, for men, oftentimes, if we aren't, you know, Steve Harvey gave away too much game, but one of the things he gave away, if we aren't financially in a space or fulfilled in purpose or what have you, it's really tough for us to be good to anybody else. And she's given me the grace and the space to grow into that. And so all I want to do is return, give her ROI on her investment in me.
I heard that.
And allow my son to see that too. Like, you talked about if your kid wants to hang with you when you're an adult. I always think about my favorite movie growing up was Love and Basketball. And to see his relationship deter with his father once he found out, it just fucked me up, right? And so for me, I just always want to be someone my son can be proud of and having that close-knit relationship where we can talk about everything. And I don't want my son to necessarily see me as superhuman.
You are a
my
person.
dad is a human, because when you get older, you look at your parents and you realize they're just people, man. They were trying to figure it out. They were wrestling with their demons, all of that. And I just want to maintain that transparency and openness and vulnerability with my son, where when dad makes mistakes, as I will make mistakes, he's able to forgive me and have space and grace for me because of the space and grace that I'm affording him, and that he's seeing that I afford to his mom and all the people around me.
Absolutely. That's definitely this transition, not only sexual essentials, but this, all I've thought about is my child, because I didn't start sexual essentials. I started sexual essentials. I was still breastfeeding. Like my husband at that time, past tense. Shout out to the co-parent though. He be holding it down. Okay. It was like, you know what? Hey, let's buy an investment property for him. I'm going into a career field that I don't know what's about to happen, you know? And gratefully to this day, I keep wrestling with, like, is he upset with me or am I making him proud? I just want him to think I'm the cool mom, you know, like I'm doing something like super cool. But it's difficult because, you know, in these moments, people be like, well, you know, you should probably just go and get another job, or I can't create or be who I need to be if I go back and start doing it for somebody else, not with this purpose. And I'm always like, I hope he's going to be proud of me. And his dad had to tell me, Samaya, it's okay. Like, it's now I don't know how long he's gonna be saying this, okay. But he's like, it's okay. Like his accounts are good because you told us to get this investment property at that time, and we still have that for him today. And so for him, he's straight. You know what I'm saying? And so like that feels good. And so I'm just always grateful and hoping that, you know, he's thinking of me as a person, not super mom or super strong or any of that. Which is really the point of doing all of it. It's the point that I dug up my life to heal. It was all for him. Like you were so important. You were so special to me that I choose you from the moment that I found out you were there. And I think that's the thing that I'm really just trying to heal in myself. Just trying to understand that my parents are people. They fucked up. Don't get me wrong, but I also am the best of everything that they have. I'm a reflection of the best of what they had to offer. You know, just really fixing the fact that I feel like they didn't choose me. You know, so I appreciate you coming today. I hope that, you know, this episode it reaches new people that have never heard about you and your work. I hope that it shook things up for the folks that do know about you. And I do just, I'm just so grateful. It feels like my time. It feels like so much alignment. It's just so funny when you mention Issa Rae. My first business had me opening for her at Essence Fest. I didn't even know. I got off the stage and she got on stage and I said, shut up. Because, you know, they only tell you so much. But that, and then, you know, a year later, I'm in the same field, and now this is somebody that I'm having to study and you know, things like that.
She's a good one to study.
Oh, I know, boss, honey. Them Capricorns, mogul. They about their business.
He's a mogul.
So I'm just so excited, and you know, I look forward to you sharing more stories and hearing more about your story, because that's really how we learn. You know, Oprah and Steve Harvey sharing their stories are the things that tell me. Tyler Perry, you know, telling their stories. I'm like, when we started now, yes, I have a converted van. So it's like, it's nice. Don't get me wrong. Like for camping and all that stuff. When I started living in it, I said, oh, we almost there. You know, they say you can't have no book come out and you ain't slept in no car.
You gotta
it's going to be boring without it. I said, oh, we almost there. So I'm so excited.
Dancing in the rain.
Absolutely. It's that. Just, you know, the getting used to it, because I'm stuck. I've never felt more happier with being behind the camera, not just being talent, and really just realizing how uniquely qualified God has made me, and just really, you know, respecting that, putting some respect on that. So thank you for coming by, making time for me. You know, a lot of folks say a lot of things when they come through this house, but you know, you've been very you know, very present and just like, hey, what's up? This is what we're doing. I'm coming by. Let's do this, and all of that. So I appreciate you, you know, being a big rattler to the baby rattler.
Man, thank you for having me. I'm so proud of what you all are doing. I'm so proud of what you all are building. And it takes a lot to have a dream, but be daring enough to actually go after it, because you're going to get some strawberries on them knees. You're going to fall. You're going to scrape them elbows.
Yeah.
But like you said, man, it's all about perspective and choosing to dance in the rain, and always maintaining a space of servitude. And because sometimes you'll see people win, you be like, man, why that ain't me? You know what I mean? It's natural. But we just got to check ourselves. And so I'm happy to be here today on Not Just Another Sex Podcast. And I'm thankful to be with you. So thanks for having me. Appreciate you. Tell the folks where they can find you. You can find me on IG, cruising. No, I'm just you can find me on Instagram, face, like your face, _forward, like the direction we moving in, 87. That's pretty much all I use is Instagram. Facebook is for my home team, so don't go there. And your family members. Yeah, you know what I mean? And your church members. That's yes. For the front row, deaconess and deacons. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please make sure that you check out the links below. Make sure that you please subscribe to Patreon. They have a donation tier if you choose to do it. And make sure that you check out the highest tier, because you can get added to our Discord group, which is our private chat, and check out all the classes, courses, and the bonus episodes that drop every month. And if you want to hear more about the more intimate things, we do have an entire bonus podcast over there called Just Another Sex Podcast, where we just talk about all the sex and intimacy things. So make sure that you check that out. And if you're a content creator or need a team to produce your work, then please make sure you check out SE Content House or semedia.group, and we can assist you. So I love you guys. Thank you for creating a safe space for me. And I will see you on the next
next week. Next week. Bye.
Peace.